Hey, how's it going, YouTube? We've got some fun and exciting power rankings for you all today, headed into Major 2 in London. It's the 3.0 London coming at you in just a couple of weeks. We are going to be ranking the teams that are in attendance. Unfortunately for K-Corp, you are not on this list, but we've done this in the past, if you guys haven't seen these, where we look at, hey, power rankings pre-Major 1, who we thought was going to go and perform. Then we did a post-qual 4 and kind of talked about the end results. Again, if you guys want to see this document, it is linked in the description down below. But we've got our top 10 teams and an honorable mention going into the Major. We'll see how correct we are on these. Usually we're okay, but I actually had a really tough time on this one. I think it was really difficult to determine who I think is going to end up where, and you can make arguments for a lot of different swapping. Chat did help and gave their opinion on some of these, so we saw a little bit of shifting from them as well. So shout outs to you guys in chat. But if you guys want to join on these, twitch.tv/Lawler, or we stream live on YouTube now. Pop on by when you see the notification. So with that in mind, first things first, we're going to start with our honorable mention. And while I do think other teams probably will perform better, I have them as the honorable mention because I don't think they're getting enough credit. Team Secret and Complexity were obviously the conversation pieces of who is going to make it. And Team Secret came out. I think this team on land, we've seen in the past, go to Game 7 bangers in quarterfinals and compete for top 4 performances before. I think KV1 is such a good player and does not get enough credit. He is easily one of the best mechanical players, I think, in South America. Outside of like Astromic, who gets the attention as like the #1 KBM player, period. I think Team Secret, I have them as an honorable mention, not because of performance reasons and stuff, but simply because they could play big upset. Like, this is a team don't take lightly. Their defense will surprise you. They will hit you with counterattacks, and their offense is a lot better than people think. As long as they don't play crazy boom ball like they tend to, or constantly go for a air dribble from the backfield every single time, they should be okay. Because a lot of teams are going to see them do that and be like, yeah, go ahead. We'll just challenge you and then we'll win possession. But Team Secret, a team that I think could play upset. Do I think they're going to make top 8? Probably not, but I think they'll be in conversation just like a Power. Like Power, congrats to them. They finally went perfect in their split. They won every single event. Power notoriously though goes to the 2-2 round and loses. So I do think from my, like, I've actually sat and done actual replay analysis, and OCE plays like dog water. Like, OCE does not play well. I am not convinced. I hope they're just trolling in those scrim matches, but it is bad. With that intact, I will say Power will find a way to go to the 2-2 round. They always do. And then they fail the clutch. They either have a tough matchup. I think last time they played like G2, as G2 was struggling, but I just can't pick OCE top 8. I can't do it. It hasn't happened in a really long time. At number 10, this one I kind of went back and forth on between them and Twisted Minds. A little bit of a spoily boy there. But I'm going with OG. I think OG has built some concessions for themselves. I think obviously they had a really rough start in Qualifier 1 and have since then started to build. Realistically, the only reason I think they performed as poorly as they did, and a lot of it comes on their captain in Nolly. I think Nolly really, really underperformed in Major 1. I think he had a really tough performance, and I don't foresee that happening again. I would like to see his level of play come back and be a little bit more confident. Calm, I think, has really developed into a fantastic young pro and has really been assertive in his playstyle, and JNaps to me doesn't make mistakes. I can't think actively about JNaps in a situation where I blame him for a play throughout his entire career. Like, JNaps is that guy. So the difficulty is I think their peaks, and when they hit their ceiling, they can be super competitive. But against the top dogs, I still don't have them winning, just because I think they get out mechanicked. Like a peaking OG, I don't think beats G2 on a okay day, and I don't think that's anything against them. I think G2 just has that much talent. So I do like OG. I do expect them to probably go to the 2-2 round and then try to qualify through round 5, depending on who that matchup is going to be. Is kind of tough. But I do think OG Esports is a little bit better than some people want to give them credit for. At number 9, this one is where they get a little bit difficult. We have Space Station Gaming. I took into account with some of these power rankings the thought process of what goes into being successful and how these results are likely going to play out. And again, these are purely my opinion, but I think that Space Station as a team will still do well, but based upon like the land buff and teams who lock in, because like, let's call it what it is, LAN sees some regressions. You're in a different environment with not as ideal conditions. You're on an unfamiliar setup. There's pressure, everything like that. A lot of teams will regress in their play. A lot of teams will take a little bit of a step back. And while Space Station, I like a lot of things they're doing, I still see them getting a bit overwhelmed. I love watching, and I gave a lot of credit to Hawkster in their last event, where it's like, even though you guys went out in quarterfinals, you were break checking, you were giving your team space, you were willing them to go and find those victories. But even still, it's not enough. So unless LJ has like a world-class performance, Space Station to me, still heavily capable of making a top 8, and I don't doubt them for being able to do so. But I think there's a lot of really good talent ahead of them. We will see, but it's going to take Space Station to knock out, I think, some really big EU profile teams to move forward. And that kind of spoils. I have all EU in our top 8. The only way that you see something else happen is if one of those teams gets eliminated. So I am believing more in EU than NA, like usual. At number 8, we've got another NA team, and it's going to be Gen.G. Obviously, Gen.G, as you guys have all seen, has faltered this split. They won qualifier 5. No, they won qualifier 4 and then have made quarterfinals both times, losing to the likes of teams like OG, so on and so forth. Gen.G, to me, I think will perform better at LAN. That is basically where my gut is on this. I would like to say that Gen.G, even though they have the ups and downs, and we've seen that even in Major 1, they find ways to win when it matters most on LAN. I think this team, a lot of maturity, really good mental fortitude. Very interested to see what Chrome does as their coach on LAN and what kind of setup he does for them in that regard, so they can come better equipped. But I personally believe that Gen.G is a better LAN team than Space Station. And I think that's a fair assessment. The big focus, which is going to be Gen.G, has been this entire season, and specifically in Split 2, gotta find ways to get First Killer more involved. I think in my general assessment, Gen.G is trying to focus on an unselfish playstyle, making sure that it is a full team rotation, everybody's involved, it becomes this three-headed monster. And while after they got rid of Nolly, Jack kind of regressed and was like, I'm going to play the unselfish role, I'm going to be the setup guy, I'm not going to be the one scoring, and he's done that phenomenally. It has its limitations. And I think by going to that three-headed monster and seeing all of them involved at anybody, basically next man up type of mentality, Gen.G will get stronger. The difficulty with that is you've got to break some really long-standing habits with First Killer. First Killer has always been, feed me the rock, I want to be selfish, give me the ball, I'm going to take care of it. And because that is not the case right now, you are seeing some problems with Gen.G. Hopefully with this extra time, they find ways to get that into play and they move forward. Very interested to see how it plays out, but I do think Gen.G is a better LAN team. At number 7, I think it's only fair to bump these guys up because of the performances they've had. We got to go with Furia. I really like Furia. I think their offense is incredible to watch. We've seen them out of the gate swinging before. Even Major 1, they did the same thing. My issue with Furia is they still struggle on defense. They overcommit. They are basically an all-or-nothing team. I would love to see like a Furia versus an OG. A team with a really good defense that absorbs pressure and hits with counterattacks versus a team that is full send on offense. I would love to see what that matchup looks like, but call it what it is. Furia, they do not feel the compromise of being in a unique environment where it's unfamiliar. Like Furia, when they go to LAN, is like, we're gonna play offense, we're gonna tackle it, we're gonna go heads-on approach, and that's just how we play. And I think that's what makes them so strong. But against the other teams that can match their pacing, they become very one-dimensional. So I would like to see Furia take more of a active approach in how can we play maybe a little bit more reserved on defense sometimes. Still go for creativity on offense. Don't just solo play from the backfield every single time. Take a solo play and turn that into a pass. Go for a demo instead. Maybe fake challenge. Maybe the first guy plays off ball instead. Like, add some creativity so it's not so templated. But Furia's offense, I think, will carry them very far. Again, they were super close to making top 4 last time. But I think Furia has proven they are a damn good team. I'm excited to watch them compete. Furia is going to be the one I have one of my eyes on mostly coming into the major. At number 6, and these next 3 were pretty much impossible for me, if I'm being honest. What color is this? Hold on. Let me fix it. It's the one to the left. Okay. So, Gentlemates at 6. And a lot of people are like, but Lawler, you always preach about Gentlemates and how good they are. I think Gentlemates is the epitome of a LAN buff. I think with everybody regressing a little bit, you've got a team that has arguably got one of the best players in the world in Itachi, who is incredible for 50-50s, great game sense and IQ, vision of the field, everything like that. But I think people are now used to what Gentlemates specializes in. And while it is a grueling process, I can't confidently pick a team that wins only by 1 goal. Now, if they can prevent goals and continue to do what they do, they will be competitive. They will be very difficult to beat. But I will always believe in controlling the one resource in the game, which is boost and facilitating offense. So I think Gentlemates, maybe some people have kind of figured them out a little bit. While I do think they have regressed a little bit online, I am still going to choose to believe in all 3 of those players who pop off at LAN in most times, continuing to do so. But in counteracting of that, I think the team right in front of them has proven it both offline and online. Historically, Oxygen has 3 players that perform better on LAN. Straight up. Archie always plays better on LAN. He genuinely steps up. Oski, I think, is proven that he can be that guy. And, I mean, shit, is Joyo. Like, the guy freestyles. I remember his backflip flip reset set up against G1, which was, like, stupid. Like, I think Oxygen on LAN is something special and has so much potential. I am very, very excited to watch Oxygen on LAN. Between these two, I think you can make some shifting back and forth. And I further feel that with all 3 of these. I think there's arguments for all 3 of these adjusting any which way, depending on the day of and stuff like that, which I think is very exciting for all of us as fans. I think all 3 of these teams have the capability to make some upsets, but Vitality, I think, in particular, highs or lows, gets the job done when it matters. Former world champs defending that title still, which congratulations to them. They did make it to semifinals last time at the major. It went to 7. Zen is him and continues to be so. He basically 1v2 G2 in that series and just wasn't enough to get the victory. Again, I think Vitality is always going to be heavy reliant. I think Alpha is going to continue to do what he does, but it is Radosin. Radosin has to have a worldie. He has to be impactful. He has to play off ball. He has to go for creativity. Maybe minimize the own goals, even though when they get an own goal from Radosin, that usually means they win, which is kind of a weird stat. But I think Vitality is a team that I have trust in, and it goes down to the gut feeling. Do I think all 3 of these have reasons why they could be adjusted? 100%. But I'm going to choose to believe in Vitality, personally. And number 3... one of my favorite teams to watch, if I could click, is Falcons. Down 2. Okay. Falcons has been perfect this season. Outside of international competition, they've been perfect. They ran into the big bad K-Corp and lost in 7. You look at the Major 1 quarterfinals, and I've been saying this for a while. Quarterfinals nowadays at the top tier comes down to how you're playing on the day. And I think all these teams are fully capable. If you make top 8, you are just as likely to go and win the whole event as anybody else, but it comes down to preparation, structure, foundation, your mental, all the things that you do your best to control, because I think talent-wise, all fully capable. Let's call it what it is. The Twins are cracked. TRK is a freak. They're all so good. Falcons, to my knowledge, is going to be keeping their secrets to themselves. They will not be playing in the deleted XD Battle of the Bootcamp tournament. I think they want to keep things close to their chest. Will that hinder them or will that benefit them? I don't know. Maybe some real competition beforehand might be beneficial, but to my knowledge, they want to keep it. They want to keep it hush. So I think Falcons is that team. I think you can make arguments for them moving up. They've been playing pretty damn good. You know, a lot of people use the argument of, well, G2's only been top 2 every single time, so that means they're the best. I think Falcons, you can say the same thing. It's like Falcons have been absolutely dominant. If they would have beat K-Corp in Game 7, who knows how far they would have went. Would they have beaten Gentlemates? Would they have beaten Gen.G, who also went to 7? Like, there's so many what-ifs and possibilities that I think you can make arguments for any of these teams. I really like the Falcons. I would like to see them in the grand finals. Selfishly, as a fan of this esport, I would love to see Falcons in the grand finals. At number 2, and we're going to keep them here for a while until they win the whole shebang, is G2. Most consistent team in the RLCS, objectively. The worst they've performed even in international competition. Hard to say because they've only played at 1 international competition this year, is second place. Otherwise, they've been first every single time. My argument for why they're not number 1 is G2 is playing in a worse region. No offense to North America, but historically, EU has performed better. I personally believe in the process of EU, the refinement, the seriousness, the cutthroat mentality. I believe in the work ethic, the cultural differences in Europe. Therefore, it's very tough for me to put G2 at number 1. I'm not saying that teams haven't been inconsistent, because let's call it what it is. Vitality, Oxygen, Gentlemates have been on a roller coaster. Straight up. Same with your number one team that I'm about to talk about in just a second here. They have seen flaws. But in G2, it's crazy to me that you see all the people harp on K-Corp, but you don't see that same level of pain for Gen.G, so on and so forth. If Gen.G wasn't to make a main event, let alone top 8, they would be destroyed and torn apart for it. But yet K-Corp people still consider it a top dog team. And by all means, if I had K-Corp in here, I'd probably put them somewhere in this area and drop out probably OG or something and make them honorable mention. But like realistically, I believe in Europe more. That's what it comes down to. And until G2 proves that they are objectively the best team by winning, I have a hard time. Maybe G2 is just planning for the long con and plans to do it at the World Championship. Either way, expectations is if G2 are not in the grand finals, they messed up. It's a lot of pressure on a team. And for the number one team, which it's kind of crazy that I say this, I don't know how this team's going to go. I think they have such high peaks, but their lows can get real quick. BDS has started a little bit slow, but has now won back-to-back events in my opinion, the most competitive region. I think Drawley, as a rookie in his first major, performed admirably. All the questions answered. Drawley is going to be that next guy that everybody searches after, that they want to build around, that they want to support. And as long as Exotic shows impact and BDS keeps a level head with Monkey Moon, if you see Monkey Moon do this, you're fucked. The series is over. As soon as he has an exasperated sigh or shows some sort of mental frustration, it's over. And we've seen that historically. Like, the shoulders of BDS are on Monkey Moon. And I think he knows that, and maybe that's why he puts a bunch of additional pressure on himself. But I hope Monkey Moon has the maturity and the fortitude to say, this is a team effort. I have help. I don't have to do it all myself. My teammates are those guys. And they come together. Like, to me, the most telling thing about BDS is there's been times where Monkey Moon hasn't shown that he is the best, but still find ways to win. And as long as they keep getting victories, that's all that matters. So I think the end point in BDS series this past event is a very telltale sign. They didn't look that great, but they found a way to win, and that's all that matters. And it was enough to carry on. BDS has shown me up and downs before. And for them to then continue to show results, I think is everything I need to see. With that in mind, LAN is a different beast. Trying to get back to a grand finals to make that push for Worlds. That is the curiosity. And if this ends up happening, unfortunately for Oxygen and things go the way they do, that means Oxygen would be out and K-Corp would be going to the World Championship. So again, that is what I have for my top 10 power rankings. I know these can be shifted. I know there's conversations for each. There's a lot of statements and a lot of analysis I've left out of this because I don't want to keep you guys here for 40 years. But if you do want that information, stop by the stream. We're going to be doing replay analysis and breakdowns over the next couple of weeks, getting you guys all ready and geared up for Major 2 in London. I do not know if I'm going to be in attendance, but hopefully the predictions I have are accurate. Either way, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.